one of the big underlying principles is that if you're lucky, somebody checks your lease once a day. We've all seen gauge sheets where we've been pencil whipped, where it's a number and then a line drawn for the next 30 days. And we all know that's not true. And even if you have a really talented pumper who cares, which there are many of them out there, they're only there a short time period. So for instance, if you've got an installation with an electric motor on it and it's not running because you're intermitting, or you've got a time clock, or you've got a liquid level controller, what is there to check? How would they know? And so we're going to talk about fine tuning. And I'm going to talk from the owner's perspective here. The problem with electric motors for most owners is they're out of sight, out of mind. They don't hear them. They don't listen to them. They don't want to spend any money. They really don't understand electricity. Oil field motors are very widely mismanaged, and usually the problem is addressed when you have a major incident. Usually the motor burns up, and then you get a call, my motor's burned up. We'll call the electrician, they go look at it, and you're down a week, and it's very expensive. That's how we manage electric motors in the oil field, particularly with independent. What we're subscribing to is fine tuning. And so here's one of the very first examples, and I really want to spend some time with this slide. This is an injection well that we put WellCaddie on. This is one of the very first installations we did. And the red is the pressure, and it has a 1,000-pound pressure transducer. And you can see every time the pump kicked in, the pump was pumping at over 1,100 PSI start. Now imagine the strain on the fluid end, the peak load electric draw. I mean, there's a lot of bad things happening there. And then you can see buried in here, the blue line is the injection rate. And what they were doing is they were pumping, they were injecting in, they ran out of water, the rate dropped, and then the pressure came back. Well, we did a little engineering project for them, and what happened is they didn't realize they were injecting in the gas cap of a reservoir to flood. They needed to fill that up. So every time they stopped pumping, the well came back and pressured up. And so you can see these cycles: shut in, build up, drop, shut in, build up. And then this was a Monday morning right here. I remember this vividly because I was checking the device, and I saw the pressure had dropped to 18 pounds. And my first thought was there was a line leak. So I called the pumper. He went out there. He said, "Oh, no, our pressure is 18 pounds. Now look at what he did. He said, what I did is I noticed that if I would slow the pump down and get longer injection, that my pressures would start dropping. What's happening? He's just killing the well. And then at some point, he got enough 100% water in the fluid column that it went on a vacuum. Look at this. And he stabilized it out. And now he's injecting at 18 pounds, not 1,100 pounds. Now, that is a phenomenal success, and nobody knew what was going on. And then you can see they ran out of water. The pressures went back up, and then they went in a cycle. And so this prompted a complete rework of the facilities, new water supply, install a variable speed drive. I mean, there's a lot of things that they did. But had they not seen this, there would have been no communication about what was going on at the lease, and there would be no way to solve the problem. So here's a well that our oil company had, and this was the first day look, and you notice pressure's dropping off because there's no injection. Injection ran out of water, and so you got this. Now, it's not as dramatic, but you're injecting at 180 pounds here, 600 barrels a day. And you ask yourself, can I smooth that curve out and lower my electric costs and my strain on my fluid end? So there's a month's worth of production, up, down, up, down, up, down. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out that, hey, I need to do something to eliminate this problem. Here's the irony. We put WellCaddie on, we were looking, we were getting ready to put in a variable frequency drive, and the fluid end went out. In other words, this start-stop cycle had worn the fluid end out on the pump so much, and I think that cost us about $4,000 to repair that. And so we've since fine-tuned that installation. So how do we do that? What, it sounds expensive. If you've got a smart device in the field, and there are a lot of pump installations that have a Modbus output, you can install our WellCaddie Modbus Gateway. It costs $750, and that includes a year worth of monitoring. And this is not our device. This is our device. It's about the size of a deck of cards, maybe slightly bigger. And it's programmed. This is the smart device that we're plugged into. And we simply read the registers from this smart device, and you'd be amazed at how many of them there are in the field. And then we take those and translate those to the website. And what we do is you can start the fine-tuning process. Our default method is 96 readings a day. That's every 15 minutes. And from there, you can start developing some trends. If you don't have a smart device, one of our newest products out on the market is, we just call it the amp clamp. We really don't even have a trade name for it right now. And essentially what we do is we clamp, it's non-invasive, to the lead line of the electric motor, and it measures amp draw. And with the amp draw, you can get baseline trends, you can get start, stop, on, off, and you can start developing an idea. And for instance, if you started to see an amperage increase, well, like on a pumping unit, are your rods sticking? Do you have scaling problem? Is there something going on there that you're not readily aware of? It's like taking blood. Your doctor takes your blood pressure and listens to your heart. It's really not that sophisticated, but very few people do it because they don't have the time to do it. Another application for our Modbus, this is an installation on a Lufkin pump-off controller. Those are very sophisticated devices. They give a lot of information: peak torque, strokes per minute, amp use. I mean, it's very sophisticated, but they don't have a voice. Lufkin will tell you, if you want to know what's going on, connect it to your SCADA system. Well, most independents don't have SCADA. It's just too expensive. So we successfully plug that in. It takes about an hour to install. The most difficult thing is to figure out the registers that the customer wants to read, and then the fine tuning. And you're going to hear a lot from us in the future about fine tuning your production. And here's one instance. If you've got a 1 or 2 barrel a day well and you're intermitting, it's on, off, and you've got a weak pump, you'll build up a hydrostatic head in the well, and then you turn the well off, and the oil leaks back through your balls and seats, goes back into the formation, and you just repump all over again. And this is a cycle people really don't pay much attention to. Whereas if fine tuning, not only can you increase the production and the output, but you can delay the cost of a pump repair 2, 3, 4, 5 months. In other words, your pump might be doing 75% efficiency, and until it completely fails, you can sit there and gauge what you're doing. And so it doesn't sound that dramatic, but here's the value proposition. And excuse me, it's an old slide. I used $50 a barrel, but it looks like we're approaching 40 now. 1 barrel a day increase is $1,200 a month. And including the cost to drive out there and put the device in, it's about $1,400. So if you get 1 barrel a day increase, you pay the device out. You're not talking about $15,000 or $20,000 or $100,000. You're talking a relatively simple, easy, straightforward approach to basically get you a pumper every 15 minutes. So here's my conclusion to all of this. By measuring and monitoring and attention to motors, you can fine tune your lease. When you fine tune, that reduces your strain on your equipment, and that phrase we use, management by catastrophe, we avoid that. Lowers your operating costs and increase your production. And when you reduce wear, you add that to reduce cost and increase production, it's pretty simple. You have a higher net revenue, and at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for. So appreciate you guys.